Hi, it's good to see you back. If you are back, if you are new, it's good to see you. If you follow this channel, you might know that sometimes I post about theory about filter design, but usually I don't go into the real depths of it, so I always avoid it to build filters completely from scratch, because I don't think that people should waste their time on it, because it's really just something that in Alpha Forever I think we have enough filters to work with, and in pretty rich variety and pretty high quality. But people always people always find me with questions like how to build a filter and how to design it, and I make this video to clear these questions, and I hope I succeed with it. And as you can see, this is going to be the result. This is a 2-pole Sallen-Key setup. We don't have a Sallen-Key filter in Alpha Forever because the sonic qualities are the same as in the state variable filter, but I think the state variable is better. Better in terms of predictability. So here the low pass, band pass and high pass outputs are matching each other, and they add up to if you can build a state variable so that if you add up these outputs, you get a horizontal line on the scope like here. And that's a nice thing. On the Sallen-Key you can have only a 1-pole high pass output if you need it, but you can still build a multimode filter with a high pass output, but that's going to be a more harsh high pass than on the state variable. If that's what you're looking for, then go for it. So we are going to build this from scratch. This part is the filter itself, and it features lots of maths and lots of hacks and lots of things that are not so intuitive, but I hope we will get around it. And you've seen before that this is the main setup that I'm using for testing. So this part is really just a trigger generator that generates a trigger based on the block size of the spectrum analyzer, so don't change the block size. And you will get this setup from our Discord, so I will upload the result and you will get this setup as well. And the other part that is that I want to build from scratch is the this prewarp part. Actually, this prewarp is the bilinear transform, which transforms these values from 0 to the half of the Nyquist to from 0 to the Nyquist to values which are the same, so something that predictable independently from the sample rate, and this is non-linear. And this part here converts the prewarped value, which is called half omega. So we convert half omega into a range of 1 and 0, which is nice because that's what we can work with in feedbacks. And yeah, let's start with this. The first thing that we need is a 1-pole filter, and for that let's take a look at the analog 1-pole filter. It's called RC filter as well, and it's basically an integrator and a gain. So if you create a multiplier, that's a gain, and an integrator, which is going to be an add, and the integration goes like this. This is a naive integrator. This is the most basic integrator. This is what people used to use in the filter designs since ages, and the 2010s was the revolution of ZDF, or topology preserving filter designs or stuff like that, or trapezoidal integrator. We're gonna cover this, but here we have the naive integrator, and then we have a negative feedback around this whole thing, there and there. And let's create the feedback as well, like this. And this is actually a working low-pass filter. But it's not a ZDF, it's not ultra stable, but it does the job, it works as a naive one-pole filter. And to turn it into a ZDF is going to be extremely easy. And for this I'm going to leave out lots of theory, because it's really not required to be completely it's good to know everything what you do, but it's not required to know everything to create these filters, because the most important building block is the integrator, and the second important building block is going to be the one-pole filter that we are just building. And only few filter designs require the integrator only to work with. The state variable is one of them, but most of the filter designs that you will find on the net will require the one-pole filter as a pole, and that's why I'm leaving out the case with the integrator only, and I'm not going into the details of why this is like it is. I think this is just easier to understand. Okay, but what is integration here and what is it doing? So the function of integration is pretty simple. We have a waveform, and these dots are the samples. The waveform has a curve. It looks something like this. And each line represents this represents the time of a sample, and the integral of the curve is the area below the curve. And for that, integration always uses slices, because if we slice up into endless fractions, then we get the exact area of the curve, but here we can slice to the sample resolution, and therefore the naive integrator looks like this. Something like this maybe. You can understand. So it only counts with rectangles. Maybe here, maybe there, doesn't matter. The most important part is to understand that we only calculate with rectangles, and as you can see, it's not that close. It's okay, but it's not guessing the right thing. While the trapezoidal integrator calculates with a trapezoid slope, which follows the curve in a lot nicer way, and makes a better prediction of the area. So that's why we are changing from the naive integrator to a trapezoidal one. And it's fairly simple. So we plug in the input of the input of both ads is the same, and we feed them into each other, and this will actually work. Currently the analyzer is going crazy, but as soon as we plug this back from the second one, so from the lower addition, if we plug that back into the input, voila, we have a working ZDF one-pole filter. But this is a highly optimized version, so this is currently not the whole so I didn't show the idea of how people came up to this. This is a very extreme simplification of the process that I showed, but the result works, and this is a proper one-pole filter optimized. So if you only need a one-pole filter without resonance, a subtraction, a multiplication, and two additions are doing the job. And it needs the G, and the output requires Y. And one more thing what I forgot is that this is not too nice thing to have. So let's remove these two unit delays from here. We only need one delay, so the same value comes here and here, and for that we should use only one unit delay. And for that I just create a con here, and I also create a designer here, which is going to be called involve. And this way we can trick alpha forever to change the node order, the node processing order. So for the second one we create an output, the first one we leave alone, and the output goes into the second inlet, and I believe that this one goes into the first one. And yes, this way we only have one Z sign. So let me just quickly replace this to work like this as well. So X should be the input and Y should be the output, and we need only G here. And this is a working one-pole filter. We can also remove this from here and plug this in and create just a copy. And plug in G, and it just works. And this is our main building block. We are going to work with this, and we are going to call this ZDF P1, like pole 1 from here on. And what we need to know is that this node has an equation that we will use later on, namely the output. I call this equation. So the output, which is Y, equals the input times G plus S, and S is this value here. Actually the delayed value is S, and this is important that this is delayed. So this unit delay here is very important. And from here on everything we do is really sensitive to timing. So be careful when you try to build this patch. So we have this equation and we will work with this. So from here on maths will come also into the game. We need to extend this a bit because the optimization, well, it made us lose some information, but that's easy to grab back without building the whole one-pole filter structure. So we are going to subtract G from 1 and multiply this value by it, and we are going to call this S. And you see here we have S, and I did an S inside this filter is the delayed version, but we are not we are sending out the non-delayed version of S, which is ultra important because here we will count S basically for the future. So when in the end we feed the result back into the input, this will be fine, because on the next sample S will have this same value. So this is a huge thing that we can bypass this delay here. That's why this whole thing is going to work. So let's call the output Y, and let's prepare this node to work properly. So we will need a few more inputs and outputs. Namely, we will need X underline and underline X, which is going to be the input itself of this whole structure. So we will have the filter here, and this is the input of the filter, and that we will pass through, and we will create these buses so so the timing can be controlled and things won't mess up. So here we have the G, here we have X and Y. Yeah, we want to output G as well. And then we need a value of K, which is going to be the value of the resonance, which is not, we are not going to work with it inside the filter, but we will pass it through, so it's part of the signal chain, and so we won't mess up the timing. And we will also create an input for S. There. And let's create a node order. So the first input should be the main input of the filter, the second one the input of the filter, the third one is the G, the fourth one should be K, and S can be the last one for the time being. And no, actually let's make S the last one, like this. Is it right? Yeah, now let's replace K. Yeah, this is nice to me. And on the outputs, what do we, yeah, things are a bit messed up. So the first output that we want to have is okay, I didn't explain what I do here. I'm selecting the nodes in the order I want, the plugs in the order I want to make them appear here, and I select this and select another output and press R to replace it. And I want the second to be dy, the third to be G, fourth to be S, fifth to be K. And this way we have an order that's fine. And we did not do anything to the filter now, so everything is still the same. This is still the one-pole filter we had before, except that for some reason it doesn't work, while it should. Because of this is underlined. Okay, the order there is completely wrong. So the first output should be that, the second output should be this, the third should be this, then followed by, oh, this should be an input. Let's delete this, followed by this and followed by K, and create an input. And I think I need to create one more, because K is now the, yeah. So let's replace this. Sorry, I messed it up. And now things look fine to me. I can delete the output node from here. Sorry for the confusion, but now it's okay. So the filter works as it should be. We didn't do anything wrong, we just reordered the input plugs. And now we can create another one. And we can plug Y into X and create the output. And give it the same G. And it just works, and now we have a much steeper filter. And because of the one before looked like this. So we have a difference here. And this is what we want to plug into the feedback. So what the filter is going to look like, our structure is going to be simply that we will add this to the we will add the output of the filters back into the input with the resonance of K, like this. And now we also have K. And if I raise these, things do look pretty stupid, because of two-pole filters do not work this simple way, and do not work with subtraction either. Then they just go down. And yeah, there starts to be some bump, and after a while it starts to look like a resonant filter, but it's completely stupid and not usable at all. So this is not a good idea, but it's a good idea to subtract the second filter from the first one, like this, and plug that back like this. And now yeah, this should be an addition once again, and now we have a resonant Sallen-Key filter, but we have this bump here, and the resonance flattens near the Nyquist, so it's not perfect at all, but it works. And this is why we will start to these delays here are the reason why we need to calculate the feedback for the future. So we will write up the whole equation of the filter and then solve it for the output. And when we solve it for the output, then on the left side we will have the y, and on the right side we won't have any y's. That means that we can pass it back to the input without any additional delay, and you will see that it kind of works and it will be okay. Sorry, I deleted this, but it's better to see what we will build. So what we need to calculate is these and these into an equation, and we will be fine. So let's create a text box, equation, Sallen-Key, and yeah, the first thing is going to be probably that I call this y can be a bit misleading, because y is just going to be this here, this inlet for us. So now we are going to calculate this, and we'll use this as the low-pass output, but we are going to calculate that. So let's plug this in here, and this is going to be y. And this is a bit low now, but this is a bandpass. This is the bandpass output, actually. So we will calculate the bandpass filter. So let's call this y, and y equals x plus y. So no, p1, like the output of these equals. Here is x plus y. So add them. And let's multiply it by g, because of, yeah, first let's write this equation. So x times g plus s. This is the equation for a one-pole filter. And the x of the one-pole filter is this addition, which is the input of the whole structure, x plus y. And this way it's okay. And then let's take a look at what the second pole does. P2 is once again using this x times g plus s formula, which will have a different s value, so I'm gonna call this q. And for these we are going to take the output of P1. So P1 times G plus Q is the output of the second pole, and we can already replace P1 by this equation. Create two brackets, and there we go. What's the next thing that we need? We need the value for y. Let's take a look at this. Y is a subtraction, and it means that we subtract P from P1 and we subtract P2 and multiply the result by K. Basically, this is what happens. So let's replace these values. I create some brackets here, minus some brackets, and it times K. And P1 is this, put it into the first one, P2 is this, put it into the second one. And this is our final equation that that we need to solve for y, so there should be no y's on the right side. And don't worry, you don't have to do it, just plug this into Wolfram Alpha, and here we go. We have this equation here. In the solutions tab you have y equals g squared minus kx minus gks plus gkx minus kq plus ks divided by this. Anyways, let's do this. So let's write this up first, and I have this on the other screen already. So gg times minus k, I call g squared gg because that's easier for me, times x minus gks plus gkx minus k and q plus ks, and this whole thing divided by ggk minus gk plus 1, and these will be the same as this, but in the future. One more thing, that we need to have the s here, and then these will be the q in the second pole. Nice. Okay, let's create the equation. Let's take this into two parts because of it's pretty long. So I'm gonna copy this, create a designer, call it I don't know, numerator. Paste the equation, create the inputs. We need a g, we need no, first we need x, then we need g, then we need s, and then we need the k, and also q. So first q and then k. It's more intuitive. And as you can see, we have g squared. So let's create a variable for g, not a variable but a multiplication here, like this is g squared, I call this gg, and we have a negative k there. So I'm going to create a inverter node here and plug in k, and now we can just multiply stuff together. So gg times negative k times x, like this, times x. So this is gg times negative k, and this is gg, like this. Then we need gks, and it's also negative, so we take this and simply multiply it by g, and this multiplied by s. Like this. And we can go pretty fast and straightforward. So g, k and x, g and x, yeah, maybe this way it's better. Multiplied by k, like this. And then we need k and q, and we need, oh, we need negative k, and k and s. You have to be careful not to mess things up, but if you don't do it, it's pretty simple. Checking where you made a mistake is a lot worse than building it in an okay way. So this is the numerator, and let's create another designer, the denominator, where we only need G and K. And let's create a square once again like this. And also create GK like this, subtract them from each other, and just add one in the end. And this is the denominator. And let's fire this up. X goes into X, G into G, S into S, K into K, Q into Q, and G and K. Okay, like this. And yeah, here we could do just a simple division, but it looks so cooler if we create a node for it, like numerator, denominator, divide, and the output is the bandpass, which we want to feed back into the input. This goes back there, this can jump out, and basically we see a low pass there, which is not fine. Yeah, I didn't patch up S there, and something's still wrong. Or not. Oh, no X. X and X. Maybe here the order should be changed, so K should be the last one. Q into Q, K into K. Something seems off. Oh, didn't connect K there. That's a mistake. And yeah, maybe I need to involve. Let's plug in these into there and let's take a look of how it behaves. Yeah, we need to involve. So create 1, 2, and the output I. So this is the output. That's what we want to have there, and I think that we need this. And yeah, now it's okay. We got it. We have the Sallen-Key filter ready, and it works perfectly. It's stable until around 2 of the resonance. I think 195 is the highest value possible. I'm not sure, but as you can see, it works. This is pretty high. And you can go down to 0, and I think you can go even lower than 0. But for the time being, this is fine. So we have this done. I think I'm gonna put this into a designer and call it filter SK paste. Create the input, and here the output. call this lowpass. And yeah, we need G and we need K, which is cutoff and resonance. And I'm not I'm not putting the stuff inside of it further. I just want to see this working like this. And it works. Nice. Let's create the bandpass output, which is this. And we don't need to involve it since this is inside the node. And since we did put it inside the designer and the first input is involved, we don't need to care about it anymore. So if we plug in the bandpass here, this is the proper bandpass, yeah. It works nicely. And we can also create a high-pass filter, so I'm gonna show you how to get the high-pass from here. And for that we need to go into the first pole, just subtract the output from the input. And this is the high-pass output of this one-pole filter. And the high-pass of the output of this one-pole filter happens to be the high-pass of the Sallen-Key filter. And it works perfectly. And as you can see, the resonance on the high-pass is a lot stronger than on the low-pass. And the low-pass is a lot steeper than the high-pass. And the bandpass looks like this. But this is a working filter, and yeah. We are ready. I can also delete this part here. And just keep the equation. So this goes for the one pole, and this is for the Sallen-Key. This video might have been a bit longer. I don't think anyone will watch it ever to the end. But if you do, and if this helped you in anything, I'm more than happy. And I hope to see you in videos that are not about hardcore DSP project because of hardcore DSP projects. Sorry, because of these are a bit harder to present, at least for me. They would require a bit more preparation, I think, and a bit more. I don't know. I don't think that this is something that people will do anyways. But if you wanted to see how to design a filter, then this is a way, and this is a good prototype. So yeah, thanks for watching, and see you later. And if you like this, leave a comment, or if you find this interesting, then also leave a comment and come to our Discord and download this patch. And if you want to use it in alpha forever, or if you want to play around with it, actually you can build a Moog ZDF the same way, so just a ladder filter just with more poles, and it's easier even because of that you don't need to add, and you can just solve for the low pass. So a 4-pole Moog is actually a lot simpler than this. Non-linearities are not trivial, but they can be solved as well. And now think about this node here, which has two additional filters in the feedback loop, offset, drive. It took a while to create this. Anyways, thanks for watching, and see you later. Bye bye.